everyone, and this is BioPhoenix here, and today we're taking a look at a Japan-only PS2 game, and boy is this one a weird one, and that happens to be Combat Queen. So this game was developed by General Entertainment, and was published by Taito, if you could believe it, and it was released in 2002, and yes, trying to sum up this game is a very strange one, but we'll just kind of go over everything one at a time. So just like every other day, let's just talk about the story first. So this game takes place in Japan, and a bunch of giant insects start invading, and these things are so deadly that they end up reducing the population to like really low. So the only sliver of hope they have left is relying on a team of all female characters. I guess no one was able to get enough bug spray to fight them off. And all these female characters in the party all happen to be android soldiers. Just by looking at them, you would never expect them to be android soldiers, but no, they are. Because whenever you see in their perspective, you kind of see like the little like numbers in the corners, kind of like they're like a Terminator or something. So now, what exactly is their plan with these female soldiers? Like, what do? Well, they just ride around in a big pink Jeep and just shoot at the bugs, cause, you know, that's a sensible solution. Just shoot at them. And that's basically, like, the story in itself. It's very simplistic. Even if I can't read this shit, it's very easy to understand what's going on. And then, of course, you know, all these characters, they have names, but I'll be honest, I don't, like, remember, like, most of them. But yes, as you can probably already tell with what you're seeing here and what I'm saying, that yes, this is very much a very cheesy B-movie type of game. So now, onto the game's gameplay. So, what I can sum this up as is that it is a rail shooter, where you just, like, move around a cursor, you shoot at bugs that fly across the screen, kind of like something that you would see in, like, the arcades with games like Area 51, House of the Dead, you know, that kind of thing. But here's the weird part, is that this game does not have light gun support. Like, what? Like, I looked all over in the game's options, I even looked on, like, the back of the box to see, like, what type of controllers are compatible with, and nope, no light gun support whatsoever. So yeah, you gotta play a game like this in this style with a controller, and this came out in 2002. There were plenty of games that came out before this that were also in this style, but actually had gun support, like, for example, like Time Crisis. Hell, even the game Ninja Assault also came out the same year as this game, and is also the same type of genre, and that also has, like, gun support, so, like, what the fuck? Okay, so we kinda got the point now that, yeah, this is a game where you're just gonna have to play with the controller. And of course, I'll talk about the controls later, so we'll just go over the other things too. So yeah, just like every other game in this genre, you know, you just try to shoot at the enemies, you get points, you know, gotta watch out for your health and whatnot. And at the end of each stage, depending how well you did, you get these little bonus points which allow you to gain more health and more ammo. Yeah, that's right, this game has limited ammo. So you know what that means. This is a game that you can't just like spam your shots all the time. You actually gotta take your time with shooting them. But there is no reloading you gotta worry about, but still, like, the fact that this game has limited ammo, though, is definitely something that can be very frustrating to deal with, especially in the later stages. But the one weird mechanic that this game has is that when you pause the game, you see your health bar and your ammo bar. Well, you can actually, like, shift, like, towards, like, either side with the D-pad, and yeah, you can actually sacrifice some health to get more ammo, or sacrifice some ammo to get more health. So, there's actually a little bit of a strategy in this game where, you know, like, sometimes, like, if you're running low on health, you can, and you have, like, a shit ton of ammo, you can just, you know, give yourself more health and whatever, and all that type of stuff. So yeah, that's a very strange idea for a game like this, but, you know, I guess it's unique, I suppose. And if you happen to do really well at these parts, you can unlock bonus videos. But the one thing that is weird is that you can't even view them, like, until you complete the whole game. So you'll kind of see, like, oh, hey, I unlocked a new thing, I want to check it out, and it's like, nope, you can't view it yet. Okay, so now you're probably thinking, is that the whole game? Is this just all a, like, a rail shooter with live-action cutscenes that are really cheesy looking? Well, when you first play this game, you probably will think that that's all the game is, but surprisingly, there is one aspect to this game that I have yet to talk about, and it's something that you would never expect. So when you first play this game blindly without knowing anything about it, like I said, you'd be playing the first couple levels and you'd be like, okay, so this is just a weird, like rail shooter, right? Well, they start to throw in levels that play like a survival horror with tank controls and pre-rendered backgrounds all at once. And I'm just like, holy shit. Yeah, when I first got to that part, I was so glad I was not drinking water at that time, because if I did, I definitely would have spat out my drink. So yeah, bet you weren't expecting that. So yes, these parts kind of play like the original Resident Evil. You just walk around in tank controls, you shoot at more of the bugs, you can aim up and down, and you know, you can collect little power-ups that gain your health and ammo back up a little bit. In fact, that is one thing that I do like about these parts better than the rail shooting parts, is the fact that you can pick up items, because in the rail shooting parts, there is no items. Like, there's nothing you can shoot at the screen that gives you, like, more health or anything. So, the only way you can get more, like, health and ammo is by completing a level. Where this, yeah, you can actually pick up some that are hidden throughout. And one little tip I can give for these parts is that enemies can respawn, so you can actually do a little bit of grinding to be able to get some more points to get more like health and ammo at the end of the round. Of course, you don't want to grind too much to the point where you run out of your entire ammo, but still, you can do it a little bit to gain more, which I do think is interesting. So the last thing I will have to mention about these parts is that they actually don't have any puzzle aspects to them. There's also no like new weapons you gotta find or anything like that. So all you do with these parts is that you go from one end to the other end and make sure not to die. That's literally it. Yeah, it's very, very basic. So yeah, that's pretty much the whole game. You got rail shooting, but also some survival horror-ish. So now, let's get talking about the game's controls. And the controls in this game, I will be honest and say that I don't think they're particularly good. So I already went over the fact that, you know, this is a game that you can only use the controller, but does it at least feel okay? Honestly, I feel like that this game's controls with that are like way too fast and sensitive to the point that it's like really hard to control. Yeah, usually when you play games of this sort of way, like, usually it's either one or two things. It's either A, it's way too slow and stiff, or it's the opposite, where it's way too, like, sensitive and, like, way too quick, and you just can't aim worth a shit. And this one falls into the latter category. So that really sucks, but what about the survival horror aspect? Is that part any good? It's okay. I think it is a little bit better, but it still has its problems, so I do find that the button layout for this part is a little weird. So how you sprint in this part is that you hold the triangle button. Yeah, that's kind of weird. Usually for these types of games, it's either like X or circle, but not triangle. X allows you to turn around quickly, holding R1 brings up your gun, and then while you're in that mode, then you press circle to shoot. And while you're aiming, you can also press up and down to aim up and down, because there are some enemies that are going to be on the ground a lot. Actually, there's quite a lot of them. So there's really not a lot of buttons to remember, which I guess is a good thing, but the thing is that I just think it's just a little bit of an odd placement. And as you would expect for a game of tank controls, yeah, this game does feel very sluggish, and one thing that does suck is that you do get stuck onto a lot of edges a lot of the times, which can be really annoying. Now, like I've said on my channel many times before, I usually don't have a problem with tank controls in games in this sort of style, because there's no, like, jumping around you gotta worry about, which is good, but I just really don't think they're done very well for this kind of game, because, like I already said, like, the whole fact of getting, like, stuck on the walls because apparently your character's, like, little hit detection is a little bit too big, it's just really asshole to deal with. So yeah, even with the two different styles that this game has, unfortunately, they both do have some issues. So now, let's get talking about the other things, like the graphics. And the graphics are pretty damn amusing, to say the least. So when it comes to the FMV stuff, since that's basically what, like, the majority of this game is, I think they look fine. Like, when it comes to, like, the cinematography and, like, the lighting and all, like, the technical stuff for, like, the filming and all that, yeah, I think it's fine. Nothing, like, major or anything. It looks okay. Maybe some parts do look a little bit too dark, but at the same time, I feel like it kind of fits with the game. And also, the special effects during these parts are, like, incredibly cheesy and really low-budget looking, but it's actually kind of funny to look at it now. I actually remember there was a TV show I used to watch on White TV that kind of looked a little bit like this, that also came out around this time. I forget the name of it right now, but kind of funny that this game's effects kind of remind me of it, though. But I will go out and say that the, like, the light gun parts, like, the effects on there, I do think are pretty well done. And as for the survival horror looking parts, I do like the pre-rendered backgrounds in certain shots. Some of them are kind of cool looking, and then there's some that are just, you know, a little bit too dark. But then as for the actual character models and all that, yeah, I think it's a little average looking, nothing super crazy. So overall, I would say that the graphics in this are very all over the place, but it's definitely more, like, funny than anything, and I think that at least makes it, like, more memorable. And now, as for the game's music, and this might surprise you, but I actually think the music in this game is pretty damn good. Yeah, I was really surprised, like, how much I liked the music in this game. Now, I will go out and say that it's nothing, like super memorable, but I do think, like, it is, like, really cool when you listen to it, like, while playing the game. Like, I actually found that like, there's some stage musics that kind of remind me of something from the game Darius, and I think that's pretty awesome. So if you're familiar with Darius, with its, like, cool electronic music that also does have some, like, little atmospheric parts into it, yeah, the music in this game is very similar to that. Though, I wouldn't say it's as good as a lot of the Darius soundtracks, but it does remind me of it a little bit, and I still think it's still, like, pretty cool for what it is. So yeah, a surprisingly good sleeper hit soundtrack that is just very underrated. And now, when it comes to the acting in this game, because yes, there's no real, like, voice acting in the game, it's more like actual actors in it. Now, if you've seen any of my anime reviews, and whenever I've reviewed something that's only in Japanese, you know the word that I say, I can't speak Japanese, so therefore I can't judge the quality, right? Well, I feel like when it comes to, like, stuff like this with live action, it's definitely a lot easier to tell, like, how the acting is, because, man, let me tell you, the acting in this shit is very, very stiff looking. Like, some of the ways how, like, the characters are, like, pull out their guns and they start, like, acting all, like, excited about it, I don't know, like, it just cracks me up. But probably the funniest shit that, like, I've ever seen in this game is that whenever you die, like, within, like, the Jeep stages, when you're on the pink Jeep, like, the way how you die there, it just kills me, like, every time. Oh, that's never gonna get old for me. But yeah, so I actually did look up the cast for this game, and most of the ones that I've seen here, like, I actually did look up, like, all the different stuff that they've done, and honestly, like, I didn't recognize, like, most of them, because they all played in, like, you know, like, Japanese, like, movies and live-action TV shows and stuff like, I've never even heard of, so I'm not gonna go over, like, all of them here, but I did pull up, like, 3 of them where I did recognize a little bit of things. So one of the main actors in this game happens to be Reiko Suo, and she happened to do a voice in an anime called Nana. Wish I'd never seen it, but of course I know a little bit about it, so I just thought it was interesting that, you know, that some girl in this weird-ass game happened to be in that anime. So the other one I'll mention is Yoko Mitsuya, and she happened to do 2 different Kamen Rider series, and that being Kamen Rider Blade, Missing Ace, and Kamen Rider Dekito, which I don't think I've said that right, but it came out in 2009. And then the last one I want to mention happens to be Mitsuho Otone. Now this one, I didn't recognize anything that she did, but there was one film that had such a weird name that I just had to mention it here, is that she played in a movie called Gun Crazy 3, Traitor's Rhapsody. Yeah, it sounds right up my alley. I might actually have to go see that now. So yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about the actors in this shit, and yeah, it's very corny, and it makes me laugh. So now, if you want to go out and buy yourself a copy of this game, I've seen a couple of them on eBay, and a lot of them seem to be going for about, like, 50, 60 to, like, a little bit over 100, so yeah, I can definitely tell you right now, I don't think it's worth it. So now, as for my overall thoughts on Combat Queen on PS2, is that this is a game that kind of sucks, and it's really not that good, but yet I find it to be strangely entertaining. So for all that, yeah, I definitely would not recommend this to most people. This is a game I would really only recommend if you just want something that is just so stupid that you can just laugh your ass off with. But that's it, because if you want to actually have like a really good rail shooter on a console, there's way better other ones you could be playing. So I'd say that the biggest problem with this game is that, like, the controls when it comes to, like, trying to aim is, like, really, like, sensitive and, like, really hard to aim. But one thing that I did not explain yet, and this is the part that also, like, really drives me nuts, is that, whenever you die in this game, and trust me, there are some parts in this game that are pretty damn hard and you will die a lot on, it takes you back to the main menu, and then you gotta like slowly load up your save data, and then once you load your save data, you then have to watch the cutscene that plays before like the action scene. And of course, when you watch this cutscene, like you can't skip it or fast forward it or anything, so you gotta like just kind of wait there, and you gotta watch it over and over and over again. And some of these cutscenes can be kind of long too, so yeah, that fucking sucks. So if you do happen to play this game through emulation, then make sure to make a save state, like, right before the mission starts, and then if you do die, you just load your save back up, and bam, like, it'll save you so much time. So yeah, that's all I really have to say about Combat Queen, is that, unfortunately, it's not really a good game. It could have been so much better. Like, you know what, even if this game, like, actually had, like, an actual proper, like, light gun support, the game would still just be, like, average at best, because I do find that the whole, like, you know, having limited ammo in a game like this is just, like, I just don't like that. Like, I understand having it for, like, the survival horror parts, but for the light gun parts, just get that shit out of there. But I will give the game credit for one thing, is that at least the game is memorable for how, like, weird and goofy it is, because, well, I really haven't seen another game like this before, and yeah, like I said, it had some pretty funny, entertaining shit, but it's a game that I would rather watch someone play than having to play it myself. So that being said, thanks for watching and commenting, and have yourselves a great day.
Come on, you fucking pussy! Eat shit!